G'day guys, Simon here, Simon Cigar and Spirits, coming to you from my little lounge here in Sydney. As always, it's keeping me nice and warm today. It's nice and cool outside, so I'm extremely fortunate. I'm looking at the boys that are up in Brizzy in their t-shirts and seems to be pretty warm. So you guys are... No, it's not warm.
Oh, it's not too bad. It's
You got some...
only 20. 20, yeah.
So guys, this is episode number 10. Welcome guys. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy days and your busy life to imp on my humble little podcast. Yeah.
Right. A chance to smoke a cigar and drink a whiskey. Who wouldn't be in on it?
Absolutely. Especially with this crowd as well.
There you are, you're a gentleman. It's a shame that we all live so far apart, but we've had the luxury at my other cigar lounge that I had at my old house. I was actually very fortunate to host you guys there. They're phenomenal, an absolute phenomenal catch up there. I was actually really, humbled extremely to have some of I'm going to say, the OGs of the industry, there with me. So yeah, extremely humbled. So thank you guys. Boys, what are you smoking? What are you drinking? Let us know.
All right. Well, I've had this one sitting in the cupboard for a while. Sorry, when I say cupboard, I mean my cigar box. And this is a little souvenir from when I went overseas beginning of last year.
Yep.
Actually fortunate enough to visit the Four Roses distillery. So I grabbed a Four Roses cigar. So it's a distillery cigar. Look, to be honest, I don't know too much about it, but it's a touristy thing. Maybe not. And as for my pour, I haven't done it yet. Sorry.
Just hold your stick up, Adrian, because it's actually quite artistic. I don't know if people can actually see it. Look at that. That's incredible, man.
It's and it comes in a test tube. Glass test tube.
Esmond tube.
That's right. Let me have a drink first. Yeah. So it's a very different looking cigar as opposed to just a normal plain wrapper, so to speak. So
look, very artistic.
To be honest, I know nothing about it. So there will be friends of yours and maybe cigar aficionados going, "What are you doing? It's this and that." But yeah, honestly, I don't know.
Hey, but we're all on a little playing field here.
Any flavours? Any chocolate?
A little bit of chocolate. Yeah.
Right.
Have you got a spare one? Have you got another one?
No, I just grabbed the one. I've got one from Castle and Key as well.
Ooh.
So, apparently they've been dipped in the bourbon. I don't know.
Yeah, or that made barrel age or something.
Maybe, yeah. I'd have to Google it, mate.
Yeah.
As for a drink, well, there's got to be Four Roses bourbon to go with it. A single barrel. This one I didn't get from there. I do have one for later, but...
Are you intending to go? Your bottles tonight?
Just 2 bottles, maybe. How long we got?
I'm not working tomorrow.
That's I'm gonna feel the pain from here. Brad, what are you smoking? What are you drinking?
Oh, well, very much like Adrian, I know not a lot about the cigar that I'm smoking, but it's a Flor de Copan.
Yep.
Out of Honduras. That's about as much as I know. But the reason I'm smoking this is because I last year, around this time actually,
Was Mother's Day when you left? Yeah.
yeah, I was in Japan.
Nice.
And I searched high and low for some Cuban cigars, and just couldn't get any over there, unfortunately. Even though my mate told me he got some a couple of weeks previously, got a heap of them. Anyway, I actually bought these cigars in Japan, and that's the reason why I'm drinking what I'm drinking tonight, which is a couple of Japanese whiskies. One is this the Hakushu Spanish Oak.
Oh man, look at the color of it. That is incredible.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
it's-
Is that a 12-year-old?
It is.
Is that the 12-year-old?
absolutely-
Brad?
No,
I bet
no,
Adrian
actually,
yeah,
it's
he could have some.
slightly older than that. This is a,
Back in my face. I haven't even started drinking yet.
No, well,
What
I
happened? Adrian's
think he
beers on
has.
fire.
That's the trouble. Yeah, so yeah, and I'll talk about the other whiskey a bit later. But yeah, that's the reason why I'm smoking this cigar and I'm drinking this whiskey.
Fantastic. Reminiscing on March.
Taking me back to 12 months ago.
Fantastic.
Very nice.
And Vic, what are you up to?
Okay, I'm not smoking at the moment because it's too fucking cold outside. I'm in Sydney, in Macarthur. So I'm in the last suburb before it's considered countryside. So it's too cold, mate. It's about 15. I'll be loading it up later if we have time, and I'll give you some notes. I don't know nothing about this cigar. I know it's hand-rolled. You give it to me, Simon.
Yeah,
Where is it?
Raglan.
Okay, and what
It's a Shul Robusto. It's a custom Robusto. I think it's like a 4.5 by, I think, a fist knife or something. They're a custom rolled cigar. They're beautiful. They're really, really lovely.
Well, on the dry, it's lots of cinnamon and clove, and it's like hint of honey. So I'm looking forward to lighting this up later. I'll have a couple of puffs if we still have time, and we'll finish it tomorrow during my work day when I'll be walking around the site, telling the crane where to go and singing up loads or a cigar. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a great day. But yeah, I'll light it up later.
And I think he's just got a Coke in his hand, but it's actually a bourbon and Coke or a Scotch and Coke.
When it comes to the whiskey, since I'm wearing a Karawa shirt,
I knew it'd be a Coro, especially as soon as I saw the purple. It's like Jubilee.
I forgot the Jubilee. I guess the bee's knees. I bought this was $1,000 when it came out. I've seen it. They've still got a couple at the distillery, 2 or 3, I think. They are over $3,000 now. And if you don't know the story, jump on the website. I'm not gonna. How much time we got?
Not that much time.
We're about an hour.
Okay. So this is to celebrate the Queen's Jubilee, and then there was only 2 distilleries in the world that got chosen. One of them was Macallan and Behold. The other one was Korowa. So it's nothing to be sneezed at. Go online and have a look at the story. It's amazing. And that's what I'm drinking. That's my first whiskey. The second whiskey is it'll be a bourbon. I'll let you guys know later. But hey, cheers to good friends, good cigars, good whiskey.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. But hang on, we've forgotten somebody here.
That's right. We got a bit ahead of ourselves.
Well, you've got... Mine is the Game of Thrones. It's Ezra Zion. I don't know a great deal about this. A good friend of mine, Paul Buckley, sent me this today. Thank you so much, Paul. I'm extremely humbled by that. Ezra Zion does a lot of boutique style. He does very, very, when I say boutique style, he might do a run of, say, 300 to 500 cigars per run. And once they're done, they're done. So his run of cigars could sell out within a matter of minutes because of how boutique they are. And typically this tobacco would be aged between 6 to 12 years. So extremely high end, extremely beautiful, pretty accessible. They're not, when I say accessible, he's always doing a lot of releases of different, runs, different names. So you might not be able to get this exact cigar, but you'll be able to get other cigars, from them. So Ezra Zion is beautiful, tasting nice, smoking nice, and feels really nice in the hand. So,
and whereabouts from, Simon? Sorry, I might have zoned out a bit there.
no, I actually don't know where this one's from. Same much like you guys, I actually know where.
I'm just enjoying it.
Literally just got it this afternoon. I actually did research on it. So, poor form on my behalf. And much like Adrian, I've got the barrel strength Four Roses here, which is absolutely delightful. It's
Do you know the recipe of yours?
clear my sinuses right up.
You get the. Yeah, I'm just trying
At
to
the back.
Yeah,
Over the back.
What's the recipe on the back, Simon? You got a four-digit code on the back here on your sticker. Not on there. And then on your card, it tells you what the recipe
Oh,
is.
there we go. Okay. 4-digit. No, I've got 3-digit.
Oh. No, down the bottom there. OE.
Oh,
OESO.
yeah. OESO. Correct.
Now have a look on the back of your little card around the top. And you got OESO. Yep. Fruity red berries, medium body. And mine's OESQ. One above it.
Oh,
So, and they're your yeast strands and that sort of stuff, how they actually make it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And also, maybe on the bottom, it'll say batch number and warehouse number. So the warehouse where it was stored, JE, I think, is like the row and the column, and
Yes.
find out what barrel it was and all that sort of shit if you want to get really nerdy. But yeah, man, Four Roses, I'm a big fan, and I'm surprised this one I got in America at the same time. I haven't opened it yet because it's just been waiting for that time, and I'll do that a bit later on tonight. But yeah,
I've gone
big
to the
fan.
roses
Four
already
Roses.
red.
I don't know. It's like your face after a couple. No. Your nose.
Four noses. Yeah, 4 noses. I'm going to ask guys a couple of questions, and then we'll sort of roll in and sort of learn a little bit more about who you guys are and what you do. Those of you who don't know who they are, they're not a clown act. They're not comedians. Just hang with us while we get to it, and you'll see who they are.
Definitely not comedians, that's for sure.
Funny you say that, Simon. We got invited to the podcast with a circus a couple of weeks ago.
There you go.
I think his name was Trump or something.
Right, I'm going to start off a question with you. So, you've basically introduced yourselves. I don't know too much more about you just yet because we'll wait till we obviously open up the floor about who it is that you guys are and what you guys do. But I wanted to ask, what was one of the first whiskies, or what was a whiskey that sort of brought you into enjoying whiskey?
Oh, for me, look, growing up in Cairns, it was always Grants, or if somebody got a bit of overtime, it was Dimple or something like that. But the one that got me into the whiskies would be the Highland Park 21. And that was probably, only 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I just got a random email or something, I can't remember. And I remember one of the guys at work, an old Scottish guy, was saying he loves Highland Park. So I bought this Highland Park 21, and it's just been downhill from there on.
You're working just to fill the cabinet.
You're exactly right, mate. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, for me, Highland Park 21.
Oh, fantastic.
The reason he says downhill is because he's going downhill really quickly.
And Brad, what about you? What was your
So I've been drinking whiskey since, probably before I turned 18.
Since Jesus was a boy.
Yeah. I got my first tasting notes off Moses. No.
They found his water into whiskey.
Yeah. No, but my father-in-law introduced me to whiskey proper.
Yeah.
Say proper, however you like it, right? Don't get me wrong. But he got me into tasting craft whiskey and that sort of thing. And he and my mother-in-law bought me a bottle of Macallan cask strength one year, which is probably close to 10 years ago. And that was probably when I went, this is good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how about you, Vic?
First whiskey I ever had was Teachers in the 80s. That's how fucking old I am. And he used to come with, I'm not going to tell how old I was because I was a kid. They used to come with a cap on top. You could use it as a little tumbler of glass. People that are old enough, they'll remember that. And Greg used to, way before that, used to drink that and VAT 69, believe it or not. Yeah, it's cold.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then I used to see my uncles back in Australia. So that was back in Africa and Europe. So in Australia, their choice of poison was 12 years shivers, you know?
That's a
And
standard for Epnu.
yeah, and they used to have some red labels, but then one of the uncles decided to start buying the black label stuff. That's when I realised, wait a minute, whiskies ain't whiskies. Anyway, fast forward to Sydney. I'm an adult with a family, got me on money, a little bit of disposable income. And I started, seeing rare whiskies on media. And then I realised, fuck, you can't get this stuff. You got to be in the know. So, yeah, I decided to get an Instagram account a few years ago. I already had a bit of a collection. Because, people go overseas, you ask them bring you a bourbon, whatever over there, just going to be drinking the cheap stuff that Jim Beam and Jack Daniels and Wild Turkey throws down your throat. All the crap that the AG used to bring from Scotland. All the shit at 40%. So I still had a decent sized collection already. And and then I met Whiskey Hunt. Then other ones popped up, that one batch. And so on, Whiskey List. So on, but got to credit Whiskey Hunt Australia for opening my mind to amazing bourbons. I was being a Scotch person. Jesus Christ. I tell you what, thank God Brock came to Australia and decided to start bringing barrels in, because some of the stuff he's brought in is just phenomenal. That's going to be my second whiskey. I've got a Nashville barrel pick from Brock. I think you've got that, Adrian. Yep. It's a straight rye whiskey.
Sorry, I do, yeah.
Actually,
I grabbed that on the, not the weekend, just gone, the one before for the American Whiskey Show here in Brisbane.
yeah, my palate's a bit different from mainstream palate. This is one of my favourite ryes of all times.
Wait till you try the other Nashville one I gave you.
Oh, yeah.
This
so,
one,
yeah.
this one I mixed.
So, yeah, my last few years have been great. Met Adrian, and we used to drink a lot behind the scenes on Zoom here like this with our other boys. Then we decided to go on a podcast. Started with 6 of us. Never forget our first podcast with Crufty. It went for 3 hours and a half. That was educational. The 7 of us were drunk, beyond drunk. Yeah. And it hasn't been downhill ever since. It's been fucking great journey. It's got a lot of up and downs. Being mates, it's actually really good because we can tell each other, we take the piss out of each other, but we can really give good constructive criticism, and we can go away together. We're going away.
People want to see that. People don't want to see like a tire wrapped around your neck, sitting there prim and proper, picking the shit out of a whiskey or whatever. They want to see people who are like them. We're going to catch up with some of their mates, fuck around, have a drink, talk shit, put shit on each other, and just have a good time. And that's what I find that people really want to see, and they enjoy it because it's like you can either be fake and they're never ever going to be like that, or you can just be normal and they think, well, shit, that's how we are. We're all the same.
Yeah.
So
And approachable is probably the big thing as well.
yeah,
That's how we want to be. We just want to be there, just one of the guys. Play the crab. Yeah.
sorry, I was just asking myself.
100%. We actually all went away together a few months ago, and we've uploaded a couple of the podcasts. We went down and see Dave Vitale from Starwood.
Yeah.
We all flew down to Melbourne, met the boys there. Boys flew down from Brisbane, I flew down from Sydney. Hired the car, went straight to Starwood. Sat down with David, a couple of hours. That was great. Had lunch at the pub, drove up to Corowa, and spent the evening with Dean and Lee from Blackwoods, and John, the Cooper. And it was great. We got along all weekend, really fine. Thanks, Adrian, for doing all of the driving.
Yeah, that's what I'll do, mate.
It was good, actually.
You live by the motto, it's only crime if you get caught.
No, I'm out of baby, so.
Boys, I want to ask you another question. What
Before you do, I just want to ask something. Did you say that we weren't talking about what we were doing? I just wanted to make sure it was me that wasn't listening, not Vic.
No, but we are going to get to that. But we've got to do some foreplay first. You know, so work our way to the climax.
Let's get this into context. Let's get into proper context. I do have the tendency to become a little kid when I'm inside a distillery. So tell him, Brad. Tell him what I was doing as well.
Being shown around all these casts by David Vitale, and he was telling us about this whiskey, and then there's like 400 barrels, and they're all in writing, 1.5 foot wide. They're all 200-litre barrels, and the full width of the head of the barrel, it's got in red Apera on it. And he's telling us how his team has actually produced this Apera and put it in the barrels, and it's been in there, like for however long.
Yeah, but I was on the other side of the distillery taking photos of him.
It was literally like 5 feet away from David Vitale with the actor and taking a photo, and he turned around and he said, sorry. And David actually poured us a sample of the Apera.
That's right.
And Vic turns around, grabs his glass, and had a sip and said, "Oh, that tastes like Apera. That tastes like sherry." And Dave giving him a look and said, and of course he said, it's out of these barrels. And it's like, and Vic said, so where did you get that from?
Who brought this social kid alone?
It was magic, because that was the start of the trip, Simon. That was the start of the trip. So every 5 minutes, were you even listening, Vic?
We love you, but you got to listen.
It's not about this. This is what people want to see. They want to see people putting shit on each other, having a laugh. That's what we're just saying. So, see plenty of that. There you go, Vic. You're putting, as I said to my son, put your listening ears on. Boys, what's your go-to whiskey? What's something
hang on. No, as Adrian said, what got you into whiskey, Simon?
But the thing is, I'm the host, so you boys are so used to being the host. Now you guys have...
No, we've shared. Come on.
We'll just have the conversation.
My whiskey, or the introduction to whiskey is much like Vic, that's why I was laughing, because I remember going to like weddings and whatnot as a youngster, and all the uncles would be having Shivers or, Johnny Black. And I never ever forget, man, I still till now not entirely sure why they did it, but they used to drop a carrot in their whiskey and think that they're going to try and whiskey infuse their carrot or something like that. So I just always remember as a kid growing up, you walk around, a wedding, there'd be a couple hundred people there, and every guy that was drinking whiskey would definitely have a freaking carrot in there. So, when I was a youngster, run over, no one's looking, simply grab a glass, grab the carrot.
It's like almost like a Bloody Mary with the stick of celery on it.
Exactly. Minus the rest of the ingredients. So yeah, that was the introduction, and then honestly, like you guys know, and that's how I met you boys, I think early on in the piece, back in 2019, 2020, I think when I met you boys was the start of COVID, and a lot more online stuff was happening, and 100% had this fire in my heart, man, and fire in my belly for Australian made and Australian production. And I was just like Aussie through and through for Australian distilling, as I still am. I still think, I don't know, some people think, I'm delusional when I say this. I still think that Australia manufactures and distills some of the best whiskey in the world. Man, I've had the most amazing whiskies from some of the distilleries here in Australia, and I stand by it. I might be biased, but that was my real turning point. That was my, when I say come to Jesus, sort of thing. Is when COVID happened, I got introduced to Kathleen Davies as well from Nip of Curry. She's an absolute legend, and hopefully, fingers crossed, she'll be on here on episode 11. I'm going to keep ball breaking the shit out of her to get her on here. So I spoke to her for a good chat yesterday. So Kath, I hope you see this. I'll make a reel of it. I'm going to make sure you get on here. So
I heard she's coming on and she's going to smoke her second cigar ever.
And her first cigar was with me as well.
Oh, they don't.
She'll be in studio. She'll be here in the cigar lounge with me, and possibly Jared, her partner, will be here as well with us. So we'll have a bit of a chat, have a bit of a laugh. It's just fun, So, but yeah, that was me. That was me. As a young kid, it was Shivers, like Vic was saying, and Black Label, and then sort of fast forward to the early 2020, we really picked up the game and got introduced to some fantastic Australian stuff, whether it was Parawa or any of the main Australian spirits. And actually, on that note, Vic, funny enough, I was up at Bathurst last weekend, and I was hammering it down a back road in Bathurst, and I was taking my son for a fish, and I was like doing 100, we'll just say 100 Ks, doing 100 Ks down the road. And I quickly looked at a quick flash on my right-hand side. I thought I saw a distillery, and then ripped it up, took my son for a fish. Same thing. I was doing 100 again. We'll just say 100 coming the other way. And I sort of caught a glimpse again of the same distillery. I was like, fuck, I can't drive fast there and not pulling. So I chucked a U-turn, went just up, and ended up being Bathurst Grange.
Yes. Yeah, correct.
Nick.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Nick was a gentleman. I went in, said, "Oh mate, I'm here. I just saw you." I said it was just by chance I saw you, and I chucked the U-turn and came back. I couldn't drive past, I'm not stopping. So I said, "I'm here now. What can you show me?" And he's like, gave me 10 minutes of his time because it was quite busy. And I actually got a bottle, funny enough, up there. I haven't opened it yet. But he's like, "Oh, what do you want a nip of? Look, what do you want to try?" I said, "No, man, I want a bottle. Just show me which bottles you've got. I'll grab a couple of your brews as well, some of the beers that you've got." So I grabbed a bottle of, I think it's the Burton Barrel Age. I'm not even sure now. It's been a couple of weeks.
That's a good one. Yeah, that won awards in San Francisco.
So yeah, I grabbed that, and then just having a quick chat with him, I said, "I'll do a podcast." I said, "I'd love to have you on. We can have a bit of a chat." I said, "Get you some cigars, and we'll sample your whiskey on here." And he's like, "Oh, I did a podcast a few months ago with the boys from Banjo Over Whiskey." I'm like, I said, "The boys." I said, "I'm good mates with them." So it was, it was a small world, because it's like, "So you actually didn't know I was here?" I said, "Mate, I literally drove past you 2 times, and I had to come back and see you." So. So there you go. So that was a bit of a coincidence. That's awesome. Then guys, anyway, so yeah, that was my introduction to whiskey. But now I wanted to ask you guys, what's your go-to, or what's in your sort of rotation? What's something that you? Because I speak to some boys, they've got a collection, and they may never ever swap out bottles. But I've got 1 or 2 mates who'll say, my go-to would be a Bushmills, or will be, whatever it may be, might be Glenfarclas, or whatever it may be. What would you guys say?
I don't even know if I've got it go-to. I just sort of go to the cupboard and just grab one. That's about it. And I'm on a bit of a bourbon journey at the moment, still. So, look, Four Roses. Just took me a while to get into these bottles, but they're always good. Oh, that's a really good question. I do like the peated stuff as well. So I've got a variety of some Ardbegs and Colilos and Lefroys and stuff like that. Or Kilchoman, I think, might be pretty high up there on the rotation as well. So yeah. So that's me.
Gravitate towards, I guess.
Yeah. Look, in the cooler months, it's always a peated.
Yeah.
But one bottle I've given a really good nudge. You can't get it here. It's Silver Grove. It's from New Riff Distillery in Cincinnati. Well, just still in Kentucky, not in Cincinnati, but there. But yeah, that's been a really good one of mine.
Love it.
So yeah, it's all bourbons for me.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Brad?
I'm trying to understand how anybody could have one go-to bottle. It's funny you say Bushmills. I generally always have a Bushmills 10. It's easy to get, it's cheap, and it's very consistent. And I just like it, you know. But then I've probably grown very fond of Four Roses. I've grown very fond of Eagle Rare, E.H. Taylor.
Yeah.
In the bourbon world. So there's, those, and the reason I don't have one there is because all of those bottles are fairly easy to get, and not overly expensive. So, I think that's important, right? Like if it's a craft whiskey, which I really love, that's the main thing that I like to drink, is a different whiskey. And, like I never go and just have, 4 drinks of the same whiskey.
Yeah.
Never do that. So, I like the differences and the uniqueness of whiskey. But, Australian, there's a couple of distilleries that I absolutely love in Australia, and continue to go back to. So it's hard to just put one bottle on the table.
And my next question that I ask you guys, you'll understand why I'm asking you that. So it's sort of like a roll-on question to the next one. So Vic, what about yourself, bro?
Well, I have go-to distilleries. So when it comes to Scotch, Glenrothes is my favorite, even though they don't come in anymore.
Yep.
They don't import them anymore. The funny bottle, the Blantons of the Scotch world. Can't fault them. The 12-year-old, doesn't matter which release it is. It's great, amazing. And some of the older releases, they're just phenomenal. When it comes to bourbon, Booker's. I'm a Jim Beam fan, so Booker's. I've always have Booker's on my shelf, always, no matter what. But what I can add is, when I go to a whiskey club, when we got friends, we have a couple of them, I always try and throw in two Australians, one Scotch, one bourbon.
Nice.
Always 2 Australians, I always try. So I fluctuate. I do all the reviews, but I always, for example, today I was looking, what am I going to bring? Can't go past Corowa. Bang. Can't go past a barrel pick from Whiskey Hunt. So my official go-to is Corowa and Whiskey Hunt.
Yeah, nice.
And Glenrothes.
So and while I was asking that sort of like it rolls on to my next question. So say, for instance, a new drinker or someone who wants to get into whiskey or bourbon, what would be something that they should have on their radar? What are some of the distilleries? What are some of the, bottles? And obviously we said some of the boutique stuff. Obviously we're not going to start talking about super high-end stuff. Some bang for buck stuff, which was great. Well, Brad was saying some of the E.H. Taylor, those sort of entry point bourbons. And I'm sure that there's plenty of whiskies too that are really, really cost effective. We always talk about bang for buck. I always like bang for buck because it always go and buy expensive shit.
Yeah.
Avoid bang for
two that sort of come straight to mind for bang for buck, under $100. There's the Starwood Twofold. I'm a big fan of that one. I don't even know why I didn't mention that earlier, but yeah, Starwood Twofold.
Absolutely.
And to jump on Vic's coattails would be the Ben Buckler from Corowa. Both of those readily available, core range, under $100. Can't go wrong. So that for me, if you wanted to introduce somebody, and again, it's promoting the Australian product, those two without a shadow of a doubt for me.
Yeah, it's good. It's like I said, because the problem, well, not the problem. I guess it's definitely not a problem, but financially it could be a problem for some people. Everyone can afford to go and spend $500 on a bottle. You know what I mean? And sometimes if you're going to invest, or someone new to whiskey is going to purchase their first bottle, they want to try and get as much information as they can before they make that investment. So try and getting some good direction from people who are in the industry and who know their stuff it's always good for new people, newbies. And the same thing with cigars. You know, people say, "No, what do we look at? What should we get? You know, should we go and buy Cuban cigars?" I'm like, steer away from Cuban cigars because they're just so expensive. There's many other cigars that you can pick without going down that Cuban route. And then once you're sort of more formed, and once you built your palate up and you understand the profiles and nuances and all those sorts of things, then by all means go down that route. But start with something a little bit more bang for buck before you start to sort of head down that way of brand.
I think a bit of the problem as well is a lot of the bang for buck stuff isn't, like Australian mainly, isn't available at Dan Murphy's. So people go into a bottle shop and they go, "Oh, let's see what we can find." But all the secrets in that are found online. And if you listen to like our podcast, for example, it's a there, yeah, I know. Well, we all knew it was coming, but yeah, we always promote the Aussie product, and we've got people on. Like, there's so many distilleries in Australia, and we've got so many more to do. But online is where you get them from, and there's lots of groups on the socials that point you in the right direction as well. So yeah, don't just go into a bottle shop and think, "Oh, okay, this one's $100, it must be good." But yeah, there is a lot of
Nip of courage
for buck out there.
Nip of courage. I mean, Kathleen's got a shitload there of Aussie stuff at really reasonable prices. She's a massive advocate for Australia-made, distilleries. So finding her, looking her up on Instagram, on the web and stuff like that, she definitely help you out with all those kinds of, if you want to try and find something. So
Yeah.
and what about yourself?
I was just going to say, look, and let's not forget that there's plenty of whiskey shows, plenty of tasting events. I can get onto some of the Facebook groups and that sort of thing. You'll very quickly find where you can go and try stuff, and that would be my suggestion: is go and see what your palate is used to or is able to handle.
Whiskey bars.
Whiskey, well,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I enjoy going to a whiskey bar, but you can't try quite a few whiskeys, right? Because there's economics at play when you're in a bar. They have to charge you for the service and all that sort of stuff, right?
So it'd be a little bit daunting too, I'd imagine. Like I went to
you've got to choose. Then you've got to
Taxes?
pick a bottle.
Is Death and Taxes the one in Brizzy? Deep in there, man, and you do that cool. Like, oh my God, look at this. But it's a massive bar full of so many different bottles.
Yeah. And you go to a quality barman, they'll be able to point you in the right direction somewhat.
Yep.
But even then, the first thing that they're going to ask you is what do you like? If you're very new to whiskey, that's hard, right?
Yeah.
So that's my suggestion, is that you go to find a whiskey show, go along to that, and generally they'll have quite a range of whiskies across Australian, Scottish, American, generally. And if you go to a few of those, you'll soon figure out what your palate is, So I don't think I would recommend a whiskey. Like I would ask them what they're thinking about trying and maybe say, well, that's going to have some peat, like you might like that, but just explain what it is to them, and then let them decide from there.
And I think Australian whiskey is a really good waypoint. Because I think and obviously I'm not dissing any of the peated stuff, but some of the peated whiskies can be a bit forward and may sort of catch people off guard if they're not used to that kind of profile.
Yeah.
So being very cautious in that respect. And I find I've got a Mountain Distillery bottle up there. I think it's been peated with Australian red gum. So, it's not saying that all Australian whiskies are unpeated. There are definitely Australian whiskies that are peated, but for the most part, you see them a lot more palatable in that respect.
And it can be, there's a independent bottler in Tasmania, has some very tall bottles, and he actually uses peat to create a longer palate, so adds flavour notes to the mid palate.
Yeah.
So, and while that's happening, it doesn't mean that it's overly peated. It doesn't mean that it's strong and earthy and dirty or anything. But it actually, the peat can actually enhance the flavour profile and make it sweeter. And yeah, it was more opportunity for a beginner to actually like.
Very, very well balanced. Like to be able to do that, it's very, very scientific. And I guess not a lot of people will take the time. And you're talking about Hilliers Road?
No. I'm talking about Heartwood. So, and again, like that's not a whiskey that a beginner's going to probably go out and buy because it's higher end stuff. But there's other, like the peated Starwood that they had. That was a very light peat, but it was sweet and really enjoyable. So, the Corowa peat is the same. It's not harsh on your palate. Vic hasn't long come over to the dark side with peat, but even Vic enjoyed some of those peats early on, right? So
Yep. I've actually been buying Island Park. I came on the other day. I've got 21 bottles of Island Park, and you bastards. Thank you two cousins that corrupted me into the dark side.
The bear.
But
It was a Christmas present a couple of years ago, if I remember.
yeah,
Or a birthday.
Christmas present, I tell you, that was great. The bear, never forget that. And but yeah, look, I tell a lot of people come up to me actually, especially at work, when they find out my Instagram account, they freak out. Some of the people, and I'll just tell them, start with the low ABV. How long have you been drinking whiskey for? He goes, I've been drinking whiskey all my life. Yeah, okay. How many whiskeys have you had? How many different bottles? 2, 3. You've been fucking drinking whiskey, mate. Straight up. So I'm not arrogant. I just tell them, look, start with low ABVs, don't go past 46. And I actually do refer them. I'm like, Brad, I did give them some names like Adrian. I just tell them straight up, go and try this, And the next step is join the whiskey club. Don't blame me if you get divorced, you go bankrupt, whatever. Join the whiskey club. Well, that's a good way. They've got a lot of not entry-level whiskies, but mainstream, I'd say, but also exclusive. And keep the low ABV.
Exclusive stuff.
Sorry?
I said that's the word for it. They've got more exclusive stuff.
Yeah, and you can keep the low ABV. Occasionally they'll have an add-on, something expensive. And people ask me all the time, what shall I get my friend? It's a wedding or a birthday, and then you got to know, does he drink whiskey? There's like bourbon. There was a guy the other day, he wanted to build a little cupboard with whiskey. I go, how many bottles you got? He goes, I've got 5 bottles. What do you got? And he had tequila, he had cava, he had everything but whiskey. So I told him, okay, you need a scotch, you need a bourbon, you need a Tennessee whiskey, which is a type of bourbon, and you also need an Australian whiskey in there to start off with. And then he goes, what about Japanese? That's ruled whiskey, that comes after. With the Indian whiskey and all that comes after. So he went out, and he asked me, what do I get first? I go, okay, you like high proof now with a cava, how is it? He goes, it burns. All right, go and get yourself a 12-year Macallan. That's not too expensive. Try and see one special than Murphy's, or look online. Straight away, I pointed him to a place like Barrel and Batch and so on. I didn't even think about Catlin. And anyway, he started going online, and this kid's got a little cupboard with 12 bottles now. This was almost a year ago, and he's enjoying whiskey. And, he knows if he wants to go out to have his friends off and get pissed, he's not going to go in the cupboard and drink the good whiskey. He'll just go and buy the cans, premixes. And he knows what to do now. Same with the guy that joined the whiskey club. A lot of the bottles doesn't open anymore because he knows how to distinguish between good and bad. It's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey. The whiskey journey, you have to start off you have to crawl before you walk. Start with the low ABV.
And information too. Information's key.
Yes.
Yes. Early on in the piece, I was getting because I grew up around Johnny Black and all that sort of stuff, I've got all this, not big collection, probably 30 bottles of different Johnny Walker, from all different vintages and all shit like that. And I wish I bought Australian stuff when I was buying, instead of buying Johnny Walker. But I was none the wiser. So arming yourself with as much information as you possibly can is obviously the best thing to do.
Yeah, and stick to your favorites if there's something that you like, especially usually a distillery or a brand. You know, just try all the different expressions that they have.
Explore the brand as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, stick to what you like. And before you know it, you might have 20 bottles of different shivers, you know, or whatever you like, whatever's your poison. But yeah, low ABV is a secret to start off for beginners, I think.
That's a good point. Yeah, and don't be afraid to add a bit of water.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or ice. Look, the other day there was a girl and she said, my husband likes whiskey. I want to start drinking it too. You know, what shall I do? Start drinking the stuff he drinks? And I ask her, what has he got? And this guy drinks Chivas 18 all the time. I go, look, if I was you, have you got tumblers? The ones you could put ice on it? Yeah. Okay, excellent. Have you got the Glencairn glass? You know, what are you talking about? Show a picture? He goes, no, I've never seen that before. I go, well, go to the Murphy's, get yourself 2 Glencairns. You drink that neat. And start drinking with the ice. And go and get something that's 40%, that's really soft, mellow. And take it from there. And then start with the Glencairn glass on the neat. You can't start drinking neat whiskey straight off the bat. And you can't start drinking 50%. You know, if you put ice on it. Or you can't even just go a heavy peated Octomore if you just been drinking other spirits.
Yeah. Or an Ardbeg. Impossible. Lager or something, yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible. You just...
Sorry, I was going to say, my wife, that's how I slowly started getting my wife into bourbon.
There you go.
She absolutely loves bourbon now.
Perfect.
Oh, wow.
Are you to the cask strength level yet, or?
She's not. She's definitely not into cask strength, but it'll definitely be a slow journey for her. But she really, really enjoys bourbon now.
Good stuff. Excellent. Rye, not rye yet, too spicy.
No, she enjoys rye too. She'll have some of the rye stuff that I've got, definitely.
Oh, good, excellent, good.
But it's a slow journey, man. But like you said,
Yes.
I just said I'll put a cube of ice in it, put a bit of water, just break it down a little bit if it's too strong for you. You know what I mean? There's no shame in doing that. Like, you obviously got to enjoy it. It's not a point of, like, there's no point pouring yourself a beautiful dram if you're not going to enjoy it. It's like every time you dip when you're like, oh, it's terrible. How long are you going to do that for? You know, you're not going to be true. So very, very long before you think, you know what, I don't enjoy this, I'm not going to do it. You know, so obviously meeting the person where they're at to make sure that they actually enjoy. I call it a sensory experience. It's like cigars. It's a very sensory experience, you know. It's the feel, the touch, the taste, all those sorts of things. If they're not on par with each other, you're not going to enjoy the experience. You're thinking, oh man, I just want this to be over and done with. So, guys, I'm going to ask you one question. I'm going to ask you another question. And we'll start going into who you boys are. So, first question is, how's your cigar treating you? Vic, obviously, you can smell your cigar again and tell us how it is unlit, but...
I'll play out this one.
I'm really enjoying it. I've normally succumbed to a bit of a headache or a head spin.
Yeah.
But not tonight, man. Maybe because it's...
Pacing yourself.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And it's I don't know, I tried some of Brad's and I don't know. It's completely different. It's a lot lighter. It's an easier draw. Whereas this one, you really got to work because it's packed pretty tight.
Yeah.
But mate, yeah, I'm enjoying it actually.
Yeah, phenomenal. Just really am. Well, if it's packed a bit tight, you'll be drawing really hard to try and make it work. And then you will start getting head spins. You might green out off it. So just puff it very, very slowly, bro. Oh.
It's been a while since I've greened out, I can tell you.
You don't want to see you like go out to the side, have a bit of a spew and come back.
It'll be good to be able to get a word in edgewise, though.
I don't say that on our podcast. I was to say something on silence.
Yeah.
Hey, you bro.
Yeah, actually, I must admit, I didn't have a lot of optimism about this cigar, but it's, as Adrian said, it's quite light. It's easy draw. It's quite enjoyable. It's different to what I'm normally used to.
Yeah.
It's not really rich and it's nice. I'm enjoying it. And I did try Adrian's, and Adrian's is, as he said, is completely different. Yeah.
And Brad
lots of chocolate. He said chocolate. Lots of chocolate.
Brad's sitting downwind from me, so he's been trying mine all night as well. So it's all good.
Actually, Oh no, I was going to say I'll nearly finish mine, but no, not really.
The thing is as well, when you obviously you got a beautiful whiskey and you're smoking a cigar, you don't want to have, I want to say you don't want to have two champions. You want to have where they're both trying to compete for front and center. So sometimes it's actually nice to have a cigar that is a little bit more mellow and let your whiskey come through without it trying to have, you know, like a full-bodied cigar with full flavor. Then you got a whiskey that's like full-bodied and full flavor, and it just starts budding in the end. You're like, fuck, you can't really decipher anything. You don't really enjoy the process. So
It's actually, you're very, very right. That Spanish oak that I was drinking, and sorry, Vic, I must point out, you asked me if it was a 12-year-old, and I said I thought it was older, but no, it is. It's a 12-year-old Bakushi. But I've also since then had a couple of Adrian's Four Roses, the two that he's got, and they're all three of them are fairly flavoursome
front and center
whiskies.
Yeah.
So this cigar's worked really well. But the other whiskey that I've got is actually a Hibiki 30.
Oh, shit.
And
Wanker.
Adrian. There is a story behind these whiskies that I'll tell you off air, Simon. But I've only got samples of these. Just to be clear, I don't have a Hibiki 30 bottle.
So the barrel was stacked behind you, that's not them.
Sorry?
The barrels of Hibiki that are stacked behind you, that's not them.
No, they're empty. I went out one day and Adrian emptied them. But the Hibiki 30 is a lighter whiskey.
Yeah.
So it's still got plenty of flavour, don't get me wrong. So this cigar is actually not too bad with it as well, because it's not, like you say, it's not competing.
Yeah.
Or it's not overtaking the whiskey. So
and that's the journey. Like I say, we talk about sensory experience. You want them to like really complement each other. But sometimes if there's too much happening, and I was talking to Jim, I'm not sure if you know Jim, Irish fella down here in Sydney, and he was just saying like the last thing you want to be doing is trying to smoke something that's too flavoursome in your drink, and then you got a cigar where they start, combating each other. And it's happened to me plenty of times, but it's, you live and you learn, and picking the right companion, I guess, is always a trick. So, but actually, this cigar here, on that note, is freaking phenomenal. I'm getting sweet fruit on my palate. I always say this, it's like either 1.5 for a box. This is definitely box worthy. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's actually
wow,
phenomenal stick. So, yeah.
Somebody's migrated outside so they can light their.
Yeah, I'm outside. I'm gonna cut it.
He's gonna say, there you go. That's how much you love me, Vic. I love you too, brother. He's actually gone out to Bronx to cool weather.
It's a wonder he hasn't got a Cora hoodie on.
Mate, I'm inside my lounge, so I don't know what the temperature is inside. I'm actually extremely fortunate in that respect. And you know what? It was the driving force behind me building this thing, because last winter I looked like a friggin' Eskimo. I'd have like my big jacket on. I'm like shivering outside trying to smoke a cigar. My wife was like, you look like a friggin' homeless person. What the hell are you? Like, I need this cigar. It's been a rough week. So, yeah,
That's fair.
it's the joy of it. Guys, last question before we go on to who you boys are. What would be your desert island drink?
Water.
No. You only had one bottle to pick. It could be anything.
Oh man, my all-time favorite whiskey ever was a Tobermory 13-year-old, and it was an independent bottler from Wilson and Morgan. Now, I first had that at Whiskey and Almond in Melbourne, I'd say close to 10 years ago, and haven't been able to see it since. But if I could get a hold of that again, that would be my forever dream, so to speak. Yeah. But if I couldn't get that, it'd be, I don't know, Four Roses.
Yeah. Brad?
Have to come back to Brady.
man.
Can't think.
He's like
Man.
processing, going through the list of all the
It'd
five.
be a.
Been sucking too hard on that cigar. It's gone too sad.
If I could get another one of those Macallan car strengths from 12 years ago or whatever it was, I reckon it'd be that. But my palate has changed so much since then. I think everybody's has, right? So I don't know. That's a hard question.
That's why I'll leave it to the last. That's why I always like that one.
Gee.
I asked the cigar boys. I asked nearly everyone that comes on here. That's a question for future guests. If anyone watches, make sure you arm yourself getting ready for that question, because it's always it's a stumper. Like, there's so many good bottles to pick from, or so many good cigars. It's not an easy question.
I've got one. It's an easy for me. Tobermory 12. Mori 12. I could drink that all day.
There you go, Tobermory twice. So
So that is good.
I've never seen you drink
dram. Pardon?
I've never seen you drink that.
Well, I've got 12 bottles of. Well, I've got 12 bottles of the thing. Got about 9 left.
Is that what you meant, Tobermory 12?
Yes, the one from the Whiskey Club a couple of years ago.
12 bottles of Tobermory.
it's Tobermory 9 now.
Yeah, Tobermory 9 now. Adrian, that's what I got at. I got the 21 at the Whiskey List event.
Ah, okay.
I remember
Big fan of that distillery. Big fan. Yeah, but Simon, I do actually have a favourite whiskey for a deserted island, and that is the Tobermory 12.
Wow.
Same people that make Leday. So this is very...
Lachag.
How do you spell it?
With the CH, man. Lachag. Yeah, it's pronounced Lachag.
No. Ledaig.
Yeah, pronounced Lachag.
Ledaig. Okay.
No, with CH. The D is a CH.
Ah.
Lachag.
Huh?
Whiskey Pete told me that because he actually brought it into Australia.
Well, they made it the Tobermory distillery, and that's the peated style.
Tobermory, yeah.
They branded different name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I've never tried that, so it's something I have to definitely keep on my radar.
I'll bring you a bottle. I got plenty.
You know what, Beck? You just reminded me of something. And I'm not saying that this is it, but one of the first bottles I got from the Whiskey Club was an Edredor 12. And all Edredor 12s are single casks. So they're always slightly different. And I love that stuff. I've always got a bottle of that. That'd be close to being that I would pick, because I would be constantly getting something slightly different. Anyway.
Was the Caledonia a 10? Edredor Caledonia?
Yeah, that's
It's a
what I'm
10,
talking
yeah.
about. Yeah. Oh, no, it was a 12.
Yeah, the Caledonia is a 10. Yeah, we've got one of them.
No, the Caledonia is the 12.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go. I know that one.
You've gotten to that pointy end now. I want to know. I know I've dragged it out. We're at 55 minutes. Boys, who are you guys? What do you guys do? What's the podcast about? Let us know. Let the people know who are watching there. Maybe there's some little people who follow.
I think Bit's already told everybody, but we during COVID, we were online, a whole group of us. There was like a dozen people that used to jump online, and I think you jumped on a couple of times, Simon.
Yeah.
And there was a point where we were sending samples to each other, and everybody was just trying different whiskies, and we were talking about them, and we had a ball. We had an absolute ball. And at one point, one of the guys, Wes Marks from Wild River Mountain Distillery in North Queensland, he said, after we'd had quite a few, he said, "Boys, we should record this. Who wouldn't want to listen to this shit?" And make a podcast. So that's what we did. And we started out. There was 6 of us, and we just kept doing the same thing. And as Vic pointed out, we were just a bunch of drunks at the start. But we've sort of refined what we're doing, and you know, like we've got to the point where it's not just us. You know, like we're constantly talking to people from distilleries. You know, owners, distillers, bloody barrel managers. You know, all those sorts of people, and it's sort of surprising to me sometimes, but you know, you'll meet somebody new and you'll say, oh yeah, you'll have your shirt on, like Adrian, and I say, oh, you're the podcast guys. So we do a podcast.
It was really cool with the whiskey show. Adrian was on his shirt.
We had Simon on one of our earlier episodes as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Banter Over Whiskey, that's the name of it.
That's right, mate. Yeah.
Podcast, you both on YouTube, is it just podcast? We're live. You're getting on.
Banter Over Whiskey podcast. Because Mr. Superego, Brad Hall, also likes to be called Banter Over Whiskey. So there's 2 accounts, Banter Over Whiskey. One's got podcast at the end. That's the one on Instagram that you follow. Don't worry about the other one.
You're all going to get tagged. We're going to get tagged on YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that. So you're going to get a double tag by Banter Over Whiskey and Banter Over Whiskey podcast.
They all link to each other, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't worry.
What one thing that I got to point out is when we first started, we were having so much fun drinking together. One guy really far up North Queensland, another guy in Townsville, another bloke in Melbourne. There's these 2 boys. Adrian used to live at the Hunter Valley, and Brad was in Brisbane like he is now. And I was in Sydney. It's like all over the place, and it was amazing. It was amazing. All drinking, we coming up with these new bottles, and we go, yep, where's this idea? We started, but then we started realizing that we had a bit of an influence, that we could help Australian distillers, and they get smashed with taxes, they get smashed with everything, labour, you know. And so we started, let's bring some Australian distillers on. And it just rolled forward. It was never our intention to go out, and we made it clear from the beginning. We buy a lot of our whiskey, still 99%. We buy a bottle. This is what we do, actually. We go out, one of us, we see something, we buy the bottle, we send samples to each other. If we like it, they come on the podcast. If we don't like it, okay, maybe we'll try another bottle in the future. And it works. So far it works. Occasionally at distillers, people approach us and go, we'll send some samples. Yeah, go for it. It's good stuff, They're very generous, but we understand that, and I'm not having a dig at influencers or anything, each their own, but we understand how hard it is to get the grain, to get the mash, to distill, and then to wait. All that costs a lot of money, and time is money.
Absolutely, 100%.
And the last thing they need is people ringing them up, say, hey, you got a free bottle, mate, that I can, taste it, and then you come on the podcast. That's the last thing. So we will never ring up people and say, I'll give us a free bottle. We haven't done it, and we will never do it.
Well, funny you say that, because initially, like when I get people on here, like I've approached like cigar companies, for instance, and they're sort of like, what do you want from me? I'm like, honestly, really don't want nothing from you.
That's right.
Just for you to come on, we'll have a chat, we'll talk about your business. Like it's just a platform for us just to come on, have a chat. People might not know who you are. And it's obviously creating a community for the wider audience for people to come on and just say, oh, well, look, I didn't know that those people there. Or, you mentioned Wes, Wild River. Someone might be going for a holiday up to far North Queensland. And I think, oh, well, shit, I'm up here. I want to go visit that distillery. So it's about, because we're such a small minority of, a small community, really, it's good to have that sort of, I guess, that exposure where people can find you. And the way of the world now is like social media, YouTube, Instagram, all those sorts of platforms. So if we put it out there, people get to find these incredible little hidden gems that, like I said, I just by chance, I drove past Bathurst Grange Distillery. I'll get Nick on, I'll do a chat with him, and hopefully next time someone's going through Bathurst, I'll pull them and see him and say good day to him as well. You know what I mean? And that was sort of, for me, was more just to keep continuously growing that community here in Australia.
Simon, I got to pull you up, mate. I think it's pronounced Bathurst.
Here we go. Go listen to the podcast.
Well, my teeth. I've got all my teeth, so it makes it quite hard to really slang it.
This is our podcast, Joe.
My son who's got 2 missing bottom teeth and a missing top trunk. You really flipping around and get the bathurst out there.
To add to the comment, like I don't want to come across as arrogant. To add to the comment that we buy our stuff. When we had Wes was part of the podcast, and people have asked, where's Wes and all that. Wes expanded his distillery, got so busy, he had to quit his day job and got so busy, so he used to love editing for the podcast. He said, I'm going to step down, guys, and we respect that. He had to concentrate on his business. And Mick went to build a house, he got busy with his business too. John had his own private things to take care of. He got so busy too with his gym and all that, and ended up being just 3 of us. We used to buy the rum and the whiskey off Wes. We made a point, no, Wes, you can't send us anything because tomorrow someone's going to ask us, Wild River, you get all the free stuff from your mate. We can turn around and say, no, we buy everything.
Right. Yeah.
So we made a point from the beginning to do that. And also, the point is, you ask people whether they have a podcast or an Instagram account or Facebook, whatever. Don't ask them, what are you drinking? What do you usually drink? What's the best? Ask them, what have you bought lately? What are you buying?
That's a good question, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when you know the honesty comes out. That's when you know they're spending the money. What do you spend your money on? That'd be a good whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good question.
That's a good question, yeah.
I'm gonna refine my questions, Vic, and that's going to be one of the questions that goes on there. What have you purchased recently?
I'm a genius and I'm drunk and I got the nicotine down in my brain. Like,
He's a genius when he's.
Say big dash, not arrogant.
nicotine and alcohol, mate, dude. Better than 50 clothes.
I gotta no, Vic is bang on. Like one of the things that we realised very early on with the Australian whiskey industry is that they all work together. And Bill Lark, he famously said, "A rising tide raises all boats." Right?
Yeah.
So it's about growing the market. It's not about fighting each other for the market.
Yeah.
So, we're the same. That's why we're on this podcast, right?
It's that, man. Yeah, I love
You're not a competitor to us. You're part of our
brothers,
family.
We're brothers and sisters. We're all pushing in the same direction. And I guess if you've got that mentality where you think that you're being competitive, like that's just an insecurity, I guess. But
Yeah, I guess it is.
we're
Yes, it is.
we're all trying to promote each other, promote again, like, Australian distillers or, whatever it may be. But, and that's why I absolutely love it. And I'm a people's person. I love learning about other people. I love learning about where they came from and where they're heading. And obviously we're only a baby country. So you go to places like America or, parts of Europe and stuff like that. The industry is huge. So building the community here, we want to try and be a part of that. And obviously I commend you guys for being leaders in that. And that's what I say, the OGs. And I wasn't laughing when I said it. You guys are OGs. Like when people really needed that camaraderie, when they really needed that brotherhood, you guys were there, and that was in the early stages of COVID where people were locked down. They couldn't do shit. And, you guys got on. And as we mentioned earlier, talk shit, put shit on each other, have a laugh, have a yarn, and make some good recordings.
It's easy.
The early ones were.
It's natural.
I saw some of those early ones that got recorded to be perfectly honest.
And then they're no longer available.
Yeah, they're not available.
It goes from it starts at episode 55.
Well, I think
I was domesticated. I wasn't allowed to swear anymore. And, how it goes on working.
You're kidding, mate.
It's great, guys. It's you from 2 years. I've got to be careful because I walk in my lounge room. My son will have the YouTube playing, and he'll have me up, and he's like, "Look, Dad, you're on TV," and I'll drop an F-bomb. I'm like, "Oh my god!"
I love it when Brad.
we're all about it.
We expose like in Spanish markets and all that. I don't know how it's in English. Anyway, and this is the comments on the bottom. It's like a rating or whatever censorship. It says clean. And I'm like, oh, right, did I swear on that episode? Shit.
But I also, just in regards to promoting the product, Vic always gives away samples every episode. So
Yeah.
if you want to try stuff as well, just listen to their podcast and you might be lucky enough to get a sample. So, or 2 or 3 or whatever. It depends how much he's had to drink during the podcast. Does he usually lie and when he gives it away?
I lie a lot. I say, oh, you get, like every sample that we get from the distillery, some is in little bottles. I control myself and just pour half of it. I'll give the other half away. And I tell them, oh, you can get these 6 samples. I ended up selling them 12 samples. I got some of my personal collection. Like today, I mailed a box to New Zealand from, there was the Thompson giveaway. So the whiskey list sent us 6 little samples. And I couldn't help myself. I had to buy the whole fucking collection of them a week later. Anyway, well, I've got the biggest Thompson collection in Australia at the moment. I'm very proud of that too. Hey, I'll bring him over. You know what? I'll bring him over, Simon, and we can go through the whole lot. Anyway, very quickly. Yeah, I told him I was going to send the 6 samples, half the bottles, whoever wanted, after little 50 ml bottles, 25 ml, whoever wanted it, There's lots of people that don't mind it, And there's this lady in New Zealand, and she answered the right answer, because you got to listen to the podcast and enter that keyword or a handle or something like that. I go, do you want it? You're the one that answered the right question. She goes, yeah, sure. So I sent her all this Corowa and Tasmanian whiskey in there. She doesn't know when she gets, she's going to go, oh my God, look at all this stuff. Why not? Why not share the love? If I'm spending the money on the postage.
Honestly, that's the joy of it. And I say, I'm super humble. A good buddy of mine, Paul Buckley, man. Again, for a long time, I didn't get to meet you guys in person. Eventually I did. Paul I haven't met. Paul lives down in the Southern Highlands or down towards the South Coast. And he sent me, some cigars today, and I was extremely humbled. And I sent him equally back some cigars. And we said, we'll send each other 5 cigars each. And so he sent me 5, and then he threw another 2 in as well. He's like, I want you to try these other 2 cigars. I'm like, you little fucker. And I sent 5 down, but then I ended up put 2 or 3 other bourbons in there for him to try. So it never ever just be, it's never ever just, and 5 samples, or, you're always adding in because you love the community. And I guess that's where we see, I'm personally, and I don't know if you guys can attest to this, but I'm seeing, the cigar industry not boom, but it is growing at a steady pace here. And I also see the whiskey, you're seeing growing immensely too. We're starting to see a lot more of the whiskey shows and all those kinds of things happening more regularly and more, often, really.
That's how we met, Simon. I don't know if you remember, but it was actually you that sent me a message on Instagram saying, yeah, hi, my name's Simon. Do you mind if I send you some cigars? I'm just like, sure. And it just went from there, man. And thanks.
There's actually a creepy photo of myself with my shirt up saying, hey,
yeah, I showed my back. You got that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't think my shirt, you might have had to swing.
Yeah, it's not a cigar.
Actually, one's just a nut. Now I've got a dad pipe. So I don't.
I'll tell you what. The first time Adrian messaged me, he goes, "Hey, you going, mate? My name is Adrian. I'm into whiskey too, huh? I'll send you some samples." And I'm thinking, "The fuck's this creep?" And I wanted to write, mate, I got enough whiskey to drink because I wasn't into the sample thing yet. Anyway, and I go, "Yeah, go for it, no worries." And then when we met person to person, that was cool, But it's big, massive in the States, the sample exchange, because they can't get, the states are they're very strict what you can get, what you can't get. So some states will never get a National Barrel, or Booker's. So it's massive over there, and that's a lot of trust. When you ask a person that's not into social media, the whiskey and cigar, they go, "Oh, you send each other samples. How do you know they haven't put poison in there?" And I'm like, fuck, you know what? I've never thought it. Why would you do that?
Maybe next time I will, you jerk.
Just wait till he's with you. Here, I've got a sample for you, and it's like bright green. What is that?
Glow in the dark. Chartreuse.
Yeah, that would probably be fucking murder, Like,
Chartreuse.
But,
it could be mushroom juice. There you go.
Well, awesome. Who's got mushroom juice? Send it over.
Some simple sometimes.
Absinthe.
My wife still struggles to get her head around it. I said, "Oh, my mate sent me some cigars." She's like, "Oh, how well do you know him?" I'm like, "Oh, I just chat with him on Instagram and
Damn.
we've spoken through some of the Discords and all those other kind of platforms." It's just like, "So you don't know him personally? How can you smoke a cigar he's sending you? How do you know?" And I was like, "Oh my god,
It's all part of the fun.
it's different." No, I guess it's so different because the community. I guess it's knit. It's quite knit, and I think people aren't. I mean, some people may do stupid shit, but for the most part, people are just very generous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let people to experience
100%.
what they're
100%.
smoking or what they're drinking. And as I said earlier, sometimes people can't afford to purchase a $200 bottle of whiskey. So they get a small floor and they extremely humbled, and that could be a really big ignition to their journey of whiskey, and they'll never ever forget that, and then they'll pass that on to someone else down the track. Someone will ask them for a sample, and it's just that giving and on giving, which I think is absolutely amazing.
So I got a story about that. Back in the early days, we were, like I said, we were just getting online and we were just chatting and blah, blah, blah. Like we were going through whiskies. And back then, I think it was the second one, Whiskey Club had released the Irish whiskey. Oh, what is it? Bushmills. The Bushmills, like they had a special release of the Bushmills. And, I got a bottle of it and whacked it in the cupboard, and cabinet and basically forgot about it. And everybody had said how good it was, right? And then they released a second one, and I missed out on it for whatever reason. I didn't end up getting it. Somebody took it. He actually had an extra bottle of the second release of the Bushmills, and just out of the blue, he sent it to me. He sent me the bottle of Bushmills.
And some
Full. And of course, I sent him a special bottle of I think it was Old Kempton, wasn't it, Vic?
Yes, Old Kempton. That's a very nice.
I thought it was a distillery only release that I sent him. But the thing was that was the only unopened bottle of that Bushmills that Vic had. So he must have bought a couple of bottles. Well, no, Vic, he probably bought 6 bottles. But
Man, they want to sell me 6, the bastard. Don't give me 4. So I gave one to my dad, gave one to my brother. I opened one first. That was the first one. That's for me. I opened it. Oh, this is nice. Fucking was nice. Really nice.
yeah.
And I gave one to my dad, one to my brother, and another one gave it to one of my best mates, Brad.
And that bottle, one of those bottles, because they were the Causeway special releases of Bushmills, and one of those bottles sold online for €3,000 in an auction. And so I still haven't opened that bottle or the subsequent ones, because at some point in the future I'll sell those 3 or 4 bottles that I've got of that Bushmills Causeway editions.
And you give Vic back the $130 he paid for it.
Fund a distillery. Oh, we'll fund a distillery. We start our own distillery. Don't drop a whiskey.
And Vic and I are gonna share in the proceeds, and we're going, yeah. But that's, you talk about generosity and the comradeship and all that sort of stuff. Vic is the epitome of that.
Absolutely.
As Adrian said, he's constantly giving away samples, giving away bottles. He's the driver for that in our crew. And
I think his missus might have something to say about that.
Yeah,
It's too much beer. You got to get rid of it.
yeah, there's not enough room. We need more space. So Vic has to give it away. So,
That
Thank you for that, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
driving force, you know what I mean? And that kind of And it's funny because we talk about this. I've spoken about this on previous episodes where you got people who will just sort of sit there with their hands open and keep trying to take. And you got other people who will give.
Yeah.
But then it gets to a point where it sort of bottlenecks, and those people typically get found out really quick, and they just won't be invited any more, or they just won't be made welcome. You know, so if you do that sort of stuff, it's really not acceptable. You know what I mean? Like if someone's there giving out cigars or giving out whiskey or samples and stuff like that, it's always really beautiful to be, you know, reciprocated, to give something back as well, you know. And it might not be the same whiskey, and they might not just have access. They may not be able to have that really super expensive, but it's just that gesture. And I think that gesture is really, really beautiful, you know, and depending on, there's no dependent on where they are. It's just that gesture itself is just a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. And that's big.
Yeah. You're a legend, Vic. We love you. I want a photo of you so I can put it up in my office.
I'll come over tomorrow. Take a photo.
Go to your local post office, mate. There's heaps of photos of him.
There's some cigar here.
Yeah. Look, I'll tell you a quick story. I'd love to send Australian whiskey to the world, right? And I'm pretty sure there's a poster with my name on me, who knows, on my face. Because this is going to go on here. I've tried 6 times to send a bottle of whiskey to America. And the poor stuff is master all around the Kappa area. I got different ones. Oh my God, they just call me up. Can you come to our post office, please? And I get there, guys. You can't send alcohol to America, especially whiskey. They just get hammered by customs. They don't even leave Sydney. 6 times and counting. I'm going to keep going. It's going to get through one.
Mate, I'll tell you a funny story just to add to that, bro. At Christmas time, I sent one to a mate of mine that I get a lot of my cigars from. He gives me access to a lot of like rare cigars. So I thought to send him a nice bottle of like whiskey. And I thought, you know, I found a bottle of Archie Rose, something from Sydney, just sort of, you know, to run with the theme. I'm in Sydney. He's in Australia. It's from Sydney. And it literally, I went to DHL. The chick opened up the box. She inspected us, said it's whiskey. There's a bottle of wine in there, some chocolates for his kids. She's like, yeah, all good, sealed it. She must have been like the broker, the customs broker. She signed it, packed it, sealed it. I literally watched it on the friggin' app. It went all the way to America, went to like Mississippi, and then you just say it stop, and then just started making its way all the way back again. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Seriously. It literally was there. Like, it was literally there.
Well, yours made it there. Far out.
And yeah, I had a dispute with them about them. Like, well, listen, you guys charged me $250 to send it. Like, you guys should have known if you couldn't send it, I shouldn't have been charged for it. But then I ended up getting slugged with the import duties on the alcohol. So,
Coming back in on your own bottle that you'd already paid for.
I was pissed. They like, listen, we'll refund you your postal, but you got to pay the taxes. And I'm like, motherfuckers.
Keep it.
So, I know, but look, Canada's no problem. Canada, I send stuff through all the time. Europe, Norway, and they've got no issues. They just go straight through. I know I've labelled them with olive oil, but so I did the ones to America. So, but they go straight.
My customs, the people from customs, Vic didn't just say that.
No, there's essential oils.
There you go. Boys, I think I want to say thank you, first and foremost. I do really, really appreciate you boys coming on here, having a yarn with me.
Anytime, man.
I know it's hard to get away from the family sometime, and, you know, to take an hour and a half or 2 hours away from the loved ones, but I do humbly and super appreciative of you guys jumping on. I know it's hard to smoke a cigar and drink whiskey. I know it's a terrible thing, but
Twist that rubber arm, mate.
But guys, I do really, really appreciate it. And these are the guys from Banter Over Whiskey. That's it. They can look you guys on Instagram. And what platforms are you guys on for podcasts?
Most of them. We're on Apple and Spotify and YouTube Music, and there's quite a few. So yeah.
So if people are looking for it, they can find you if they're at work listening and they want to listen to something educational and a bit of a laugh, they can tune in to you guys. And I follow you all on Instagram. Do you mind if I share your Instagram?
No, go for it, mate.
On
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So add us as a collaborator or whatever, and we'll share it as well.
yeah.
It'd be great.
Boys, I just want to say again, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed my Four Roses, my cigar that I've had tonight has been phenomenal. I hope you guys enjoyed your time. Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
what I like to do is actually send you guys cigars to smoke, but it was just like I spoke to Adrian briefly this afternoon. I'm like, hey, you want to jump in? He's like, well, I'm free tonight. And I was like, shit, I can't get cigars to you.
That's all right. We've got some. It's all that they've got them.
I have to do a 2.0, so I have to get you guys back on here.
Yes. Yes. You know what we're going to do, Simon? We have whiskey aging. We have a few barrels stashed away.
Nice.
So what we're going to do is when we bottle that stuff, which is coming very soon, the first barrel, we will send you a bottle and we will all be drinking. As soon as a cigar, we'll send you a bottle. More than fair.
I'd love to have you guys here. If you're in Sydney, I must have.
Why not?
If you're in here.
Why not? And we can go through it and see what you think of it.
Yeah. Actually, Simon, you've been in Brisbane a couple of times. Maybe not for all the right reasons, but you've been in Brisbane a couple of times. If you are up here again, sing out.
Absolutely.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Last time I was up there, I think I think, Andrew, you were working. I don't think you were there. I might have missed you by a day or something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
But we'll definitely again, like I said, and if you guys are here in Sydney, you know this is home, so always welcome to come in. I don't have such a collection like you boys, but I'll definitely have to host you guys. And
I don't know. We were drinking some Balvenie 18-year-old of York, if I remember correctly. Exactly, yeah. It was tucked away, but we found it.
I mean, and that's what it's there for.
Yeah. It was in his sock drawer, wasn't it?
But again, boy, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you again, and have you guys on
Keep
again.
up the good work, Simon. I've been watching your podcast grow as well, mate. So good on you for doing that. It's coming along nicely.
It's all about the grade, and that's it. That's right. It's just about community and about getting, as we mentioned earlier, about getting the distillers out there. I'd love to reach out to some of the guys that you may know. I can try and get on the show as well. I'd love to sort of get some of the brands that you guys know that would be willing to join me. Again, I'm only a small podcast, but I'd absolutely love to have some people on. And again, like I said, I'd love to have you guys on in the future.
No worries.
Anytime, mate.
Working.
Appreciate it. Enjoy your drams, and Vic just disappeared. I know with him all. You got that background happening. Guys, thanks, Simon. No, take it easy, good son. I'm Simon Cigar and Spirits. I'm going to tune out now, guys. This is episode number 10. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and definitely comment. We love when you guys comment. The boys will definitely jump in the comments as well. So, please, guys, jump in there with us and share this far and wide so we can continue to build this community of ours. That's me. Again, as I said, Simon Cigar and Spirits. I'm going to tune out. Take care, guys. Hope you all have a lovely night.